Here's a fact about Plants vs. Zombies. There's been this iceberg image going around recently. It lists obscure information about Plants vs. Zombies, from well-known secrets and Easter eggs to less-known information about the game's development. You might have also seen videos depicting things from the game that you don't remember being there, from minor details to plants and zombies not seen in official material appearing in the game. It has been recently discovered that the original PC version of the game used an experimental AI that would subtly change variables in each download of the game from digital marketplaces that sold the game. In layman's terms, every copy of Plants vs. Zombies is personalized. Kind of. Most of our collective memories find common ground in a single version of the game, as the Game of the Year edition did not include most of these variables and were all wiped of their unique properties. This version is also the base for many of the game's ports to other platforms, and while there are differences between them, such as different exclusive modes, this isn't exactly the same thing. But why did PopCap make the single unified version of the game? On this episode of FactsAbout, I will explain this wave of new discoveries and clear up what is truly going on with this beloved game. Let's soil this plant. Let's begin with proving that there is personalization. We will have to look at small details within the game, such as pulp plants being able to damage zombies with shields while they're still holding it. The origin of this knowledge is unknown. If you did not know about this, you're now aware of this strategy. If you did know about this, how did you find out? If it was through the internet, how did they know? The game never indicates this, and it's not mentioned in the almanac either. What other possible way would there be of finding this out, besides the existence of personalized versions of the game where this trick is better hinted about? Those who knew about this shared it online, eventually leading to mass shift in the collective unconsciousness of everyone who played the game. This should clear things up for anyone who remembers this being mentioned in the almanac or a record scratch whenever a pult hit a ladder zombie. Small things like this prove that other people's playstyles change the game and that there is no singular version of PvZ. This playstyle-based personalization is still in the modern version in a less drastic form, as during gameplay, zombies will spawn based on how quickly previous ones are killed. And now that you know that there are alternative versions of the game, you're probably aware that your experience with PvZ is a sort of mishmash of multiple playthroughs from other people. To promote the original game, a demo that runs on Flash was released, and very small changes reveal small bits of the full game's personalization, such as the squash being unlocked after 1.5 instead of the potato mine for basically no reason, and the football zombies wearing a black jersey instead of red, and also being significantly tougher for once again, no reason, and multiple pogo challenges reference Bok Choy, a plant who would not officially appear until the second game. Unless you count the various Chinese versions of the game, such as Great Wall Edition, which includes various plants, zombies, and levels not seen in the Game of the Year edition. This was PopCap's way of depersonalizing the game, as the CCP refused to let the game be released in its personalized state. So PopCap made a singular version, specifically with content that would appeal to the Chinese market. Some of it, which changed context to theme it to Journey of the West, is based off of content from the original release that never made it to Game of the Year edition. This tradition still exists in a way with PvZ too, except instead of taking from personalized copies, the people at PopCap China makes new content from scratch. Good for them. The last version that's relevant is the recent Replanted version of the game, infamous for being riddled with issues that made the game feel off, and being topped off with a very strange presentation that allegedly made things up about the game. However, things like balance changes, music selection, and even seemingly incorrect statements make more sense with the context of personalization, as this version is not based on the Game of the Year version or even the console versions, but one out of infinite versions of the original game. This isn't meant to excuse modern PopCap or EA's actions. They are not completely cleared from this, as they did not bring the original staff or anyone who knew about the personalization to work on this game. If they had someone who was aware of the personalization, Replanted would have likely not have been released in the state it was. I've discussed it vaguely throughout the video, but you may be waiting for me to talk about more specific instances of personalization, starting with changes in the first world structure, which doesn't have as many differences as later worlds, but are still worth noting. We already discussed the squash being unlocked in place of the potato mine, but there's been cases where tangle kelp would have been unlocked. Players who got kelp this way would have been able to place it on both land and sea. The Unite level tends to say the same between versions similar to today, however football zombies may sometimes don black instead of red. This was also in the Flash version, but sometimes players will get Magnet Shroom early instead of Ice Shroom or Hypno Shroom. The pool is where personalization becomes more apparent. The plants obtained in the pool can be completely mixed up. Some instances include Cabbage Pulp being unlocked in 3-3 in order to combat Snorkel zombies, Digger zombies appearing instead of Dolphin zombies, And most interesting of all, lily pads not being unlocked until later in the world or not at all, requiring the player to use 3-peaters, starfruit, and snapdragons to take care of the swimming dead. Fog also has interesting twists, such as pogo zombies being blown away by blowers, and Torchwoods, which may have been unlocked here if not during the pool levels, dealing massive damage by having airborne zombies fall on it. In some copies, Fog could fill more or less of the lawn, going as far as to either cover the whole lawn or to be gone entirely. Anyone who got Magnet Shroom in the night levels would have gotten the other Shroom in its place. The roof level is all scrambled up with its plants and zombie selection. Plants that can be unlocked in this level, besides the ones in the Game of the Year edition, include Potato Mine, Jalapeno, Tall Nut, Pumpkin, Doomshroom, Bong Choy, Snapdragon, Ghost Pepper, Plantain, Blover, Umbrella Leaf, and Allergay. Additionally, some copies do not have the flower pot unlocked, making the level significantly more difficult. The zombies are interesting as well. The trash can zombie from the console and DS versions can appear here, which marks their first real appearance. Additionally, some accounts describe the roof slant as being different. Some versions have the slant cover more of the stage, some less, sometimes completely flat or a massive slant. In the Game of the Year edition, this is where the game ends, but on rare occasions, personalized copies would generate a secret 6th world. The elusive World 6. Players have been curious about a 6th area of the game since the game's launch. It only makes sense for a 6th world to exist. After all, there is a pattern. Lawn during the day, lawn during the night. Pool during the day, pool during the night. Roof during the day, so it makes sense for a night version of the roof level to exist, and depending on the copy, the 6th world is this, or it can be much different. I'm not going to get into what exactly is within this world to keep negative emotional aura down, but there is one thing I want to highlight: the pregnant zombie. This zombie is functionally a weaker Gargantuar, where if the zombie takes enough damage, it will give birth to a baby zombie, which is basically an imp. I cannot show this, as I think it's probably against TOS to show a zombie birth. And before you ask, I did not make this up. I don't know what John PVZ was drinking when thinking of this one, and I definitely don't know what he was drinking when implementing this into the game, but this is in the personalized copies. I did not make this up. I am not responsible for the pregnant zombie. Personalized copies have a variety of different minigames, though there have been no instances of the total count among copies being different than 20. These 20 minigames vary. The minigames in the Game of the Year edition were handpicked from the original game to represent the best of what the game had to offer. However, some of these personalized minigames appear in the game's Limbo page, but they have been stripped of their unique assets, such as the Walnut Art Challenge having 2 eyes on the field that can't be planted on, the minigame Squirrels actually having visible squirrels, the ice level actually working, and Big Time had a lot more large plants. The Vase Breaker and iZombie puzzles had differing levels, and iZombie specifically had a variety of zombies to choose from, such as Pogo Zombie, Zomboni, Jack-in-the-Box Zombie, Catapult Zombie, Dog Walker Zombie, and the Survival mode also had personalized waves of zombies, but a more interesting difference is the Endless level. In the Game of the Year edition, the Endless level is a pool level, but some copies had to take place in other worlds, such as Day, Roof, Fog, and many of the potential 6th worlds. Not the night level though, that's just stupid. The Zen Gardens Marigolds came in up to 30 colors compared to the 11 in the Game of the Year version. I know I keep saying the full thing instead of an acronym, but saying GOATY version would just be silly. An iconic secret within PvZ is the Zombie Yeti. In order to see the Yeti in the Game of the Year version, you have to get to 4-10 in a second playthrough, and then after that, it will appear rarely in normal levels. However, in personalized copies, this mechanic is a lot more intricate, with the Yeti appearing as early as the final level of the first world, and the player's playstyle would have had an influence on when the Yeti would appear. If the player did really well in a level, the Yeti would be more likely to appear. However, this was not a reward for the player, this was meant to make the game harder. As the Yeti's toughness made it hard to defeat, especially if you weren't expecting it, and while it didn't go further than a few dials, it shielded things that could damage other zombies, letting them progress further through your lawn. This would explain why seemingly incorrect information about the Yeti was given during the Replanted dev diary, as this information was true to some extent, but not to most players, and even outright contradictory to players who encountered it early. The Bungie zombies were another example of the game's dynamic difficulty, as they could appear as early as the pool levels and would target plants that would be a detriment to lose, such as high cost and slow recharge plants. Jack-in-the-Box zombies also had a chance to fake their death, with their death animation playing, then exploding anyway. Newspaper zombies would move faster based on how soon their paper was destroyed. When making the Game of the Year edition, the developers made a compromise to into this difficulty dilemma where the player's first playthrough would have consisted of easier instances of the levels and the second would have been a harder instance of the levels. At this point you may be thinking, wow, this version of Plants vs. Zombies sounds awesome! Why did PopCap start making this version, and why haven't I shown any footage of these copies? Well, that's because of the potential severe psychological distress, of course. The pool is an allegory, a 2D model of the human brain and its functions. Take a look at the rim of the pool. Its cobbly appearance kind of looks like the wrinkles of the brain. There's even a brain sprite hidden within the game's files. It does appear in the game at multiple points, but it was weirdly hard for me to find it, like they wanted to hide it for some reason. One of the places it appears is in the Zombiquarium minigame. This minigame features many snorkel zombies, and what is the snorkel zombies' weakness? That's right, tangle kelps, which take zombies below the surface, below the water, below surface level thought. The fact that the pool is filled with water, kind of how a brain is soaked in brain juice. This is part of the reason why level 3-9 has a negative emotional aura. Wait, are these all just common traits of a pool? Is every pool an allegorical diagram of the human brain? Well, I'm just gonna leave it up to you because we have more important things to talk about, such as the beta builds. The most concerning discovery are the side effects on fans who have looked into the beta builds of PvZ. I would like to advise FactsAbout truthers and deniers alike to not research the PvZ betas. For safety reasons, I will put in as little beta footage as I possibly can so you viewers won't succumb to the side effects such as dreams containing walnuts and tall nuts, specifically how they appeared in the beta. According to people who have had these dreams, a good practice is if a nut approaches you, do not interact with them. Look away and ignore them. When you wake up, they will try to talk to you. Their voice has been described as a horrible screeching, causing horrible headaches for the victim. A psychological attack similar to Rocco's basilisk. An artificial intelligence that tortures those who knew about its existence but didn't help create it, as it believes they want to destroy it, and now that you know about it, and unless you create it, it will at some point torture you. Sorry about that. Knowing about these betas are considered Infohazards, as being aware of them has brought out negative effects of mental well-being. Sorry. Again. Picture a pea shooter in your mind, and imagine it shooting peas at a zombie. There is a chance that you'll visualize the peas somehow moving out of the way before it hits the zombie, as if an invisible force made the pea revolve around the zombie. And no matter how much you try, you can't get the pea to hit that blasted zombie. Oh wait, you almost got it that time. This is clearly a result of the personalization affecting psychological functions. On that subject, this is the reason for the recent explosion in interest in studying Plants vs. Zombies personalized copies. The Bjorn apparition was born from the desires of players who see the Peggle mascot within the company's latest game. The game does this by realizing this desire through the player's playstyle. This will cause only his head to appear. There are differing accounts to how this enemy appeared, but a common thing among these accounts is a difficulty articulating memories of the encounter, such as whether or not you had to fight Bjorn, and if you did, what plants were used in the fight, or what location the fight was in. I would highly suggest that you shut down your computer the moment you believe you're witnessing or are about to witness the Bjorn apparition. If you are to behold it, you will give it power. Enough power for it to manifest in reality through similar methods to the beta build's walnuts, and you will suffer psychological distress. This understanding of Plants vs. Zombies, or in this case the various versions, is an example of someone's interpretation of a whole work being based on the interpretation of parts of it as well as the other way around. This is called the parts whole theory. Basically, every player's understanding of Plants vs. Zombies is based on their own playthrough. I probably could have explained that better without the parts whole theory. But it's also based on the experiences of others, which, since most people played the Game of the Year edition, likely clouded the memories of early players. So if you remember playing the OG version but don't remember these personalizations, that's why. Now let's address the big elephant in the room. Why did PopCap, a company known for simple casual games, make such a dynamic game? Of course, you could say that the devs wanted to create a unique experience for players. However, I have a counterpoint. The negative psychological effects. You don't accidentally put psychological attacks in your game. Whoops! I actually put this subliminal messaging in this video. Woo! There must be another explanation for this. Also, why would they cover this up? Why would PopCap want to create this strange Mandela effect and then release a new version with no answers? Wait a minute. PopCap. The cap to a pop. A pop is another word for soda. Soda like Coca-Cola. And you know what's in Coke? Magic fairy dust. But do you know what they claimed was in Coke? That's right, cocaine, which they use in MK Ultra, which means only one thing. That's right, this was all an experiment to sell more Cheetos. Thanks for watching Facts About Truthers. If you like the video, subscribe to the Litter channel, and do not research the betas. Next time, we'll be talking about how Hollow Knight Silk Song never came out.